Hello and welcome. Today we have, as well as the usual traffic, some streaming for our auditory delight and entertainment, to remind us of this present moment, hearing sound right now, and that this is real. This is practice in the real world, not in an artificially created environment whereby it is perhaps easy to establish a calm and peaceful state of mind. But we go to such places to develop that ability to practice samadhi, focusing on one single object of our meditation, like the breath, in order that when we are in going about our ordinary day-to-day activities, we are not disturbed, we're not buffered about like a fine tree in the wind, but we stand steady like a solid, old, established tree with roots and some rigidity, some flexibility, but rigidity against the vicissitudes of life. This is why we go to such places to practice, but this isn't the end goal. It is to be able to use what we learn with our practice in these very real situations. Now, I could go to my quiet spot on the beach, but I've just washed my robe because it needs to dry before I go to Colombo later. I'm going on a trip into the city, the capital city now of this country, Colombo. The first time since I've been there since my arrival, whenever that was, and I've not been anywhere else either. I've been to Gaul on one-day trip, which is the opposite direction in the south of the island, another big city. But I'm going to Colombo, have an appointment there at an eye hospital just for a scan. So I'll go on the bus and I will be facing the hustle and bustle and noise, turbulence and busyness of the city, as we all do. So it wouldn't be any use if I was just a monk sitting in a cell with sensory deprivation, unable to face anything outside, any noise, any disturbance. Quite often, one of the most common questions I'm asked currently is, well, how do you meditate with this noise? And it's partly that reason I'm bringing you this talk from here today, because there is continual noise in some environments where we live, and those noises are different. But this is really no more loud than the noises of the jungle, but we akin those more to natural sound, nature. But this strimmer, well, it sounds like a deep and more harmonious cicada. A cicada in Thailand sounds more like a aging petrol chainsaw going through wood, hitting metal strips on its way through. And it's extremely loud, and they are continuous for certain seasons, and much louder than any of this traffic can ever be. But this practice is where we develop equanimity, the ability to be less reactive to those disturbances and those hindrances to our meditation. But of course, we need to begin like we learn to swim in the small swimming pool, and it's quite shallow, and you may have some blow-up rubber rings, armbands, and a rubber ring around your waist so you don't sink. And we learn to swim in those conditions. It's supportive to the getting used to the water, getting used to the learning that we have a natural ability to float, even without aids, and how we coordinate our breathing. Now, these establishments we find for meditation are much the same. They're designed as supportive structures to that end, so that we can slowly begin to take off these armbands and then maybe this blow-up rubber ring around our waist, and practice maybe holding the edge of the pool, kicking our legs, swimming without aid, eventually swimming across the pool, back and forth. Even though we can touch the bottom of the pool, we are just actually swimming, and we're then developing confidence in our ability to swim in any environment. Once we've plucked up some courage, we may walk across to the larger pool with the aid of our teachers, our supporters, our parents, our friends, whomever looks after us, and at first go into the shallow end of the pool. But there will come a time we will need to swim the lengths of the pool. The widths at first of the pool are in the shallow end, back and forth, so you can still just about touch the ground. But once we've really established that confidence, we can swim lengths, which means you're going to the deep end, where you cannot even swim to the bottom. It's that difficult, it's so deep. Because this is where people are diving from the very top high boards into the water. It needs to be so deep so that they have room to slow down before they get to the bottom of the pool in the water and turn around and come back up. But we too eventually, once we've learnt this ability to swim confidently with all of the support at first, gradually leaving bits of this support behind us, we're able to swim confidently into this deep end and eventually climb up those steps and even dive into that deep end without any concerns. This is the liberation, freedom gained from wisdom, gained from confidence, gained from knowledge, gained from the truth that you have learnt to swim. Many hours, many days, many months, even sometimes many years perhaps, to build up strength, to be able to swim full lengths, and then develop courage to go up higher and dive into a pool. Now this is very much like our practice. When we're learning to meditate, we need that support. So I am very fortunate that I have had such good support within monastery environments, staying firstly in a monastery in my own country, in England, UK, then in a monastery which is very good for training foreign or Western monks, as well as its own Thai people, a monastery of that nature, staying a lot there and learning as much as I could about the practice, but especially the Vinaya. Now the Vinaya Pitaka, are the rules and the regulations the Buddha laid down as to how to live, like our handbook. We as monks, as practitioners, do not really think of these as rules, but more supportive structures. They're a little bit like the edges of the swimming pool. We can swim up to them, but we cannot swim out of the swimming pool. It's not like the ocean. But we fully have learned to swim confidently within those boundaries. But these boundaries aren't so much separating us from the world. They're not like a brick wall. It's not like a prison. And these aren't like those type of rules. They're guidelines that protect us by helping us to keep our core sila. Like you, 5 precepts: no killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, or taking of intoxicants. These are really the core precepts that all of us must adhere to in order to develop any form of samadhi successfully. We may be able to develop momentary peace, calm, tranquility, even perhaps after having maybe had a little drink or a little smoke, or maybe told a little white lie, something like that. But this is not really deep, absorbed meditation. This is not samadhi. Samadhi is where your focus of attention is so well established on your meditation object that our 5 senses or 6 senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, and our thinking does not draw us away, distract us from that meditation object. Even the strimmer, the buses, the cars, the tuk-tuks, they do not draw us away from our focus of attention, talking to you or sitting here meditating. This is the skill we have developed in an environment that is kind to us and protective of us. And then as monks, we develop this further by taking on additional precepts, renouncing eating in the afternoon, entertainment, and then eventually the use of money. And then in order to be able to, and of course celibacy in the monastic life, but then in order to be able to uphold all of those successfully, the Buddha, in his infinite wisdom and out of compassion, laid down through his many years of practice and training many, many disciples, all of these guidelines to help us do just that, keep sila. Because it is sila that is the grounding and foundation for samadhi. And that is where we develop panya. Sila, moral virtue; samadhi, meditation; panya, wisdom. Now you may say, oh, here he is going on about that same old thing again. I really don't mind repeating that same old thing again. In fact, in one of your very kind and much appreciated Happy New Year messages to me, and your expressions of gratitude for me talking to you like this, one of you has even thanked me for repeating that so often: Sila, Samadhi, Panya. And I'll say again, this is the answer to everything. Our practice is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Really get to understand what that means. And the answer to everything really is, within Panya, wisdom, is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and things being out of our control. I didn't know the strimmer would be going. When I sat down, it started moments before I sat down to talk to you. But this is uncertainty. Do I let it cause me suffering? Do I think, oh, why doesn't he stop strimming? Why did he choose now to do it when it's been quiet all morning and it'll probably be quiet afterwards? No. I think it's just sound. If it wasn't that, it would be something else. And you bring your mindfulness, your conscious awareness into the present moment with the task you have in hand. Saying that, I sat down to talk about your comments and maybe answer some of your questions, but I haven't really again got round to that. But they are there and they will get dealt with, maybe even within this talk. But as I have to go to Colombo, that might not happen today. I might save that for tomorrow. Once we've established this confidence in our practice, in the supportive environment of, say, a meditation centre, or when we go on one of these organized retreats, which can be sometimes in monasteries, where you have a teacher guiding you through meditation. Once you have established that confidence in your practice, then tentatively, and only tentatively, you can explore meditation in different environments. Now, of course, the first place one has to explore meditation outside of that protected environment is usually your own home. Now, of course, that can be the most difficult place to meditate, because it isn't only it is in fact less so the external distractions of family, partners, children coming and going, maybe noises in other rooms, maybe smells of cooking and this and that. It is your own mind's going out. We call asava, leaking. It means literally translated asava. Is that the correct word? I think so. Pali word asava is like leakage. But it's more or less the opposite of leakage. It's like letting in. It's going out, your mind going out, seeking something to entertain it. You sit down to meditate and you think, actually, should I have just got myself a nice cold drink from the fridge before I sat down? And this is your mind going out. Or, maybe I should have set I don't think you do this anymore, but set the video recorder to record such and such a program, but I'm pretty sure one doesn't do that anymore. You know, you could set something, maybe I should have done that. This is the mind going out and then bringing back this idea of what you could be doing instead of just meditating. So even in the current time, that's not even thinking much into the future or thinking into the past. It's finding things by leaking out all around you, because you're in that environment you know, and you feel safe, and you feel protected. It's saying, oh, I could get this comfy cushion to sit on. Or if I just move to the other room, it might be more quiet. And there are all of these are just the kilesas, hindrances, more hindrances, coming from a basis of the first of the 5 hindrances of sensual desire, wanting. Then there's the second, ill will, not perhaps wanting to be in this room, it's too noisy, maybe I should go to the other room. Or maybe not wanting to meditate at all now, maybe it'll be more peaceful for me later. This is one to ignore also. There's never a right time. It's always the right time. There's never a better time. When you don't feel like meditating, meditate. This is the time to meditate. Every opportunity you get, sit. I'm sitting randomly anywhere on the floor here because the camera's there. And it doesn't matter. I could meditate here. The reason for that is because Balala, my cat, is using the chair. It's an old chair. I don't use a chair to sit on, but it's an old chair I use to usually put the camera on. So today you're on the windowsill. A bit closer I am to the traffic noise, but just here on the floor. It's actually a nice place in this room to meditate. It's maybe the center of the room. The floor is cool. There's no matting there. And if the fan was on, there'd be no insects. So I might move from there to here. But we establish in our home a good place to practice, a safe place to practice, to continue developing. Like as monks in our kuti, our little hut where we live in the monastery, where we continue to develop over years and years and years our ability to practice. Until such a time as monks, we might go off wandering for a short time firstly, but then for longer and longer times to different places under the supervision, protection, still dependent on our sangha, our monastery, our mother monastery, if you like, our monastic family, but we go out in different directions. but still within the boundaries of the Vinaya, the walls or the edges of the swimming pool. Contained, but not restricted, because what we are developing is our mind. And our mind, we don't restrict. What we do with our mind is we simply exercise what we call restraint. So we say in the precepts, when we take the precepts, and I've actually just, or I will, put a video of some people who came this morning to offer dana, even before I went on Pindapat. 6:30 they came, just as I finished morning chanting. It's a 5-minute video, but if you watch it, these are Sri Lankan people whom understand Tisarana and Panchasila. Now that is taking refuge in the Triple Gem. That is taking refuge or protection from the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So the Buddha, the teacher, the Dharma, his teachings, and the Sangha, his disciples who continue to live the way the Buddha taught us to, within that boundaries of Vinaya, and in accordance with the Sutta Pitaka, his teachings, continuously, without break, for 2,500, and this year coming up, or that we're in now, 67 years now, and those rules also, this Vinaya, unchanged in all of that millennia, 2,567 years. There's no other rule book in history or organisation in history that has not changed its rules in such a long time. Most, even organisations, governments, companies, religious establishments would change their constitutions and their rules maybe every quarter, every 6 months, at least every year at their annual general meeting. But after the, I don't know how many councils, whilst after the Vinaya was written down, subsequently, all these millennia later, it has not changed. It has remained the same. And within there are those 5 precepts. So the Sri Lankan people, from their upbringing in their family and in school, learn taking refuge in this Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, this Vinaya, which after all, if it didn't make any sense, if it required belief as opposed to just trying and finding out it does work, it would have changed by now. Because it is just an expression, a detailed way of living by the Buddha's teachings of the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, because it is just that and not a belief system, it has lasted unchanged this length of time. So the people of Sri Lanka who have grown up with that have absolute faith, saddha, we call that in the Pali language. Saddha, faith in the teachings of the Buddha, and can take very faithfully refuge, tisarana, in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And you'll see in that short video that some people, after offering dana, with no prompting from myself, and after a quick chanting of a tipiso, paying homage to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, reflecting on the 9 qualities of the Buddha, the qualities of the Dharma, the qualities of the Sangha, and they do this very quickly, with no prompting from myself, no books to read, then they take refuge in the Triple Jan, Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhanam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami. If you watch it, you can hear it, you can read it in your chanting book and see that it's done so accurately. Then they recite the 5 precepts. They don't expect me to say anything back, and they say sadhu, 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 and they finish and go. They've reaffirmed in front with the Bhikkhu, having given dana, they've reaffirmed their 5 precepts, reminded themselves of taking refuge in the Triple Gem, and given themselves a boost to that confidence, that faith, to go about their daily activities, having done this. And this goes on all of the time. This is an ordinary activity of Buddhist people in a Buddhist country. And it's as well as giving the food to the Sangha. Because all that's offered to me here is being offered to the Sangha, not to me personally. This is why when I'm receiving offerings, I must have my robe on, because that is representative of the Sangha, not like this. And this is why I'm sitting here also and not there, because I'm robe-less, so I'm not doing my normal procedure as I would be bowing to the Buddha Rupa. I have done all this already beforehand in my robes, and you can see that live every day on here at 6 a.m. So just after that, these people came, and I still had the camera going, so I left it on. They didn't seem to mind. So it might be interesting for you to see that and give you some confidence in how it is that people use these precepts, this sila, as a foundation for samadhi. The man also gave me a very quick little Dharma talk, I think that's what it was, afterwards, but I couldn't quite catch what he was saying. Maybe someone might be able to slow it down and listen to it, put it in the comments, but something about the food he was giving me being vegetarian, I think, because they're not always used to, he doesn't know I'm already vegetarian, maybe. So, this is the practice. This is the practice as we use it in our everyday lives. And this is the important thing we must all go into the new year understanding. It's very easy for us to compartmentalize our lives into our perhaps Buddhist practice at a certain time, at a certain day of the week, or even just when we get home, or meditation in the morning, or in some cases just when we go on our 10 or 14-day marathon retreat. Well, you know, a marathon retreat, however long, is of no use when forgotten after you leave that retreat. It must be continued throughout your year, throughout the days, months, weeks, whatever, all the time, continuously. This eventually helps us to develop this true mindfulness, sati, this real ability to see clearly. We're developing through this practice samatha vipassana. Now, some of your comments, and especially coming from here, I think, the comments are referring to samatha, perhaps sometimes more in our understanding of the word samadhi, because in the Sanskrit, samatha is instead of samadhi, I think. I'm not entirely 100% sure. But actually in Pali, samatha is a different thing. Samatha is peace, tranquility and calmness of mind, which we are developing through practicing samadhi, which is single pointedness, focus on one object. Or just people say concentration. But sometimes concentration can mean a little bit too much effort, like this, and straining, which isn't conducive to samatha, tranquility, calmness and peace of mind. So when you learn to observe the breath as you breathe in like that, and enjoy it each and every time you bring your awareness to it, the more often you do that with mindfulness throughout the day, and the more pleasurable it is, and the more your mind does calm and develop samatha. And this word is usually linked with samatha vipassana. Vipassana meaning seeing clearly. I know it's a kind of retreat and a course established by S.N. Goenka, the Indian, it is Buddhist, it's Buddhist meditation, it's also called insight meditation, but it's more focusing on the meditation than the rest of Buddhism. However, it's very good. They're very, very good courses to begin your practice with, because they are supported also by sila, and it is Buddhist meditation. But where they're called vipassana courses, vipassana isn't the type of meditation, it is a quality like samatha we develop. We develop samatha vipassana through practicing samadhi. keeping sila, practicing samadhi, developing wisdom. And only this way, with this understanding, are we able to then leave our Goenka course, leave our beautiful monastery in the forests or hillsides of wherever we may be, peace and tranquility. We may be in the Shangri-La of the Himalayas, where time has been forgotten and everyone is ageless, something of this wonderful heavenly nature. But then we go to work on Monday morning and a boss is screaming at us because the machine on the factory line or whatever is broken down and this, that and the other. Now if our minds are still dreaming of this Shangri-La, this place, then that isn't the object either. But what you should be able to do is continue with the same equanimity smoothly, unaffected, unwaveringly, into that harsh and coarse and difficult environment as if you were still there, but neither liking or disliking. And similarly to when you were in the ideal situation, not getting attached to that. So therefore it's a wrench when you come away. You don't form aversion to what you dislike, so that you're really looking forward to leaving that. You just appreciate the perfect and the good, and also the difficult and the not so good, the imperfect and bad, as both anicca, impermanent and uncertain. And then you can really enjoy any environment you're in by simply just that, what I did there. Noticing that breath in. You see, immediately I have less to say when I do that. It's an instant pause in our mind's reactiveness. When you're talking like this, unplanned, having not thought about what you're going to say, you're reacting. I am reacting to the last thing I said, continuing like a chain of words. Like with our minds, we have a chain of thoughts. So when we sit to meditate, what happens? Yes, maybe I should have got that from the fridge. Maybe I should have set the video to record this. Then that links to, well, I wonder what I'm missing by not recording that. And I wonder if there's any of this left in the fridge, and should I go to the shops and get some more after this meditation? What if the shop's not open? Oh, I could go to the other shop. Well, I don't want to go there, because then I'll see the lady I saw last time, whom I was a bit rude to, and I'm a bit embarrassed. So maybe I should go a little bit further and go through it. And then you see how your mind goes on and on and on. Chain, link, like this. Now this is the time when you just go, bring your whole awareness to your breath. And then that link is broken. That chain falls. And you're back to your meditation object. And I am back to not having anything next to say, because I've created that break, that pause, a full stop, a paragraph. Such a simple exercise, isn't it? Now, you can say, well, it's easier said than done. Of course. This is why we practice, why we keep sila, and why we practice samadhi, not only with mindfulness continuously throughout our day, but every day. Now you're into the new year and we are already breaking some of our New Year resolutions we've made. Maybe you've had that first cigarette, or maybe you've not gone to the gym with your new membership as many times as you expect to. Maybe already you've not kept your resolutions. But that's okay. Make a new one today and make a new resolution every day that you will sit in the morning for a little while and meditate, even if it's only 15 minutes. You can't necessarily do it with me live, but every day at 6 a.m. this time, that's Indian time, IST, I do a little bit of chanting, much like the people who came to offer dana this morning, quite short, then 15 minutes meditation. Now, of course, that's not it for me. I've meditated for a few hours before that chanting, and then in the rest of the day. But even so, I enjoy that 15 minutes just as much, because time isn't important. It's the quality that is important. You do need to develop the ability to meditate or keep samadhi established by practicing it over long periods of time. But once you have these skills, you can find the opportunity in shorter spaces of time to meditate throughout your day. So take this opportunity, even for 15 minutes. Get up a little bit earlier and sit and meditate. Just watch the breath, do nothing more, and sit on the floor in a sort of quiet and relatively uninterrupted space in the environment where you live. Even if you're in a busy environment, go into a corner, somewhere where you're out of the way, and just sit. And even if it's not peaceful, close your eyes as long as it's safe to do so, and just bring your attention to breathing in, breathing out for 15 minutes. And if it gets tiresome, determine, put a little alarm, a timer on your phone. If you don't have access to things, you can even count. I think, if you were to count up to 108, let's say, breaths 5 or 6 times, that would be 15 minutes. So you could do there's all kinds of exercises you can do to really have no excuses than to just sit there doing that for that time in the morning before you start your day. Now, whatever other resolutions you've either kept or broken, I can promise you that that will be the best one. It might be the hardest to keep. The next day you might not want to do it again. But you make the resolution again. Each and every day, make that resolution to sit and do that. And at the end of the day too, again, the same. If you can meditate for longer than this, of course, that is better. But please, try and make this your most important resolution of 2024, to meditate in the morning and in the evening. And also reflect before your meditation in the evening on your day preceding that time. Just how has that day gone? Have you kept sila? Have you not harmed anyone? I'm sure you're not going to. The precept is refrain from killing, so or we can call it harm. But taking things that are not yours, even a paperclip from work or something incidental, always make sure it's okay with the boss or the owner to have this, and then it'll never play on your conscience. Refrain from sexual misconduct, lying and taking of intoxicants. Just reflect on that. And if you have transgressed any of those precepts, say to yourself, it's okay. I won't do that tomorrow. Make an adhitthana, a determination, that I won't do this again tomorrow. I will keep to my 5 precepts, whatever happens. We all know this is too anicca, uncertainty, anatta, out of our control. But don't suffer as a result of it. Just make the determination and have confidence in yourself to do it again the next day. So this can also help with whatever else it is you're giving up or have made resolutions about and are either succeeding in or not succeeding in. Make the resolution again. Don't give up. Keep trying. Because in the end, it really is worth it, because you really are worth it. You will be happier. You will be more content. And then that is where happiness comes from. That is freedom. So rules, constraints, precepts, we call it the Patimokkha, our 227 rules, or the Vinaya Pitaka, which is thousands of rules. They're not restrictive. They are liberation. They are liberating. They are liberating you from breaking sila, which holds you back, fills you with regret, keeps your mind on the past, and gives you fears about the future. When you are keeping sila, you don't need any more to worry about the past. The distant past is gone. The immediate past, if you've kept sila, there is nothing you can be, there can be nothing there to worry about. But even so, you can make the determination to move forward fearlessly with the resolve that you're keeping sila hereinafter. It's also protective in a very real sense. I mean, that is a very real sense that I've been describing, but in another very real sense, in that these precepts are giving the gift, the best and most generous gift of dana, I think that's outside. It sounds like it's in here, but I don't know what it could be. It's the bread van. Oh, it's fresh milk. So the bread van has a different tune, you see. It's very much like the sound, but a different tune. I think the bread fan in the morning is the fleur de lis. The bread fan in the evening is a different tune. That's now the milk van, fresh milk van. Now I know. So with this resolve of sila, you're giving this gift of fearlessness to all beings, especially those you meet. If you are refraining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, or taking of intoxicants, people will never, and all beings, will not fear you, because you are harmless to yourself and therefore also harmless to others. And this is the greatest gift of dana we can offer all beings. And you will find how that really does change those you meet. They are more kind and friendly towards you. They are less prone to criticize, less prone to pick or be cruel or nasty in a difficult environment. Animals don't run away. They more come towards you. Even little insects can sense this. Now, of course, I'm in this environment all the time, really paying attention to that. But you don't have to be in that environment to experience it, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can try it yourself. And this is what the Buddha said. Don't take my word for it, try it for yourself. And that is the practice. Trying it for ourselves in lay life, as lay practitioners, which just means, as really good upasakas, they're the Pali words. A man is upasaka, upasaka, and lady is upasika, Sika. It's S-I-K-A as opposed to S-A-K-A at the end. And the A's have a line across, meaning ah. But there's more of an ah on the second A in upasika. So if you're a lady, you're an upasika. If you're a man, you're an upasaka. And this is important. This is, if you're Buddhists or you don't consider yourselves Buddhists, but are people who are keeping 5 precepts, just those 5 rules, and practicing meditation, you have the opportunity to even be enlightened, to even be a Buddha. Buddha means awakened one, because what you're doing is practicing what the Buddha taught us. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So whatever your faith, whatever your environment, country, sex orientation, job, no job, single, married, in a relationship, all of these things, it doesn't matter. Sila, Samadhi, Panya, repeating it once again, is the practice that gets you to happiness via contentment. Establishing contentment in the smallest of things, the simplest of existences, which is so much easier to maintain than a complicated life. And this is where we find contentment. I'll take it from me, I've tried it, and I've continued to practice this way, because it works. But you need to try it for yourself to experience it also. So on that note, I should bring it to an end for today. I hope there's something useful there. If so, please use it and share it. And I will, I'm very grateful if you keep sending your comments, your questions in, and then in the next talk I can get round to talking about those. Thank you for watching. Be happy and stay well. Sukhi Hotu. And here comes Balala. Balala, come and say hello. Because she keeps wandering off, don't you? And I don't see you for such a long time, sometimes. Okay, now she's back again. She's been here all morning, sitting on the chair out there. You've come in for some reason. Good.